Push. My name is John Meese, and my article covers the invasion of Italy, written by James Stokesbury. When you look back at World War II, along with any war, there's almost an aura of embellishment that comes along with it. For example, the Civil War was basically the most heated political debate of all time, yet you still have people that their hobby is reenacting it, and other people that never realize that they lost. Time is generous on our memories and can abstract the what from the how. So before you analyze what happened in the invasion of Italy, you first have to ask, how did this happen? It's simple. Compromises. The Casablanca Conference took place in January of 1943 in the Free Part of France, with both FDR and Churchill present. For the first time up to this point, the Allies were on the offensive side of the war and had to decide what to do next. Both Churchill and FDR had the same main goal, but FDR also had a personal vendetta goal he needed to get done. This difference in agenda impacted how each country wanted to approach the war. The US wanted to aggressively take back all of France and then move into Germany, while the British wanted a slower takeover from all angles. However, thanks to political magic and the understanding that something had to be done, they settled on a compromise: Italy. To understand how this plan came about, it's important to understand the catch-22 that the world was in at this point. The United States really did not want to get pulled this deeply into Europe, Germany didn't want to waste troops on a country that was already falling, and the Italian people really did not want a war in their country. However, there came a point when Great Britain and the United States realized that this war was no longer going to be about wants and instead about needs. Italy had really been struggling to be the second Rome that they had hoped to be, and the Allies knew this. If they would be able to have control over all territory around Germany, the war would be a breeze. And with Mussolini out of power in July 1943, it seemed like the best option. So, the United States and British made a compromise. The Allies would invade and occupy Italy, and in turn, there would be a set date for the invasion of France. Back in Italy, the Italians wanted out of the war, so in typical Italian fashion, they expected way too much for taking the easiest path. As the Allies were carefully planning their domination of Italy, the Italian government went to the Allies and said, "Look, we'll surrender, but we expect to be a member of the Allies and we want 15 divisions to protect us." This was much too demanding, as the US only had 4 divisions to send into Italy in the first place, so they sent back the lucrative counteroffer of, "Let us invade you," or "We will let us invade you," in which Italy accepted. So preparations started being made for a peaceful invasion of Italy. You see, no one believed in Italy, not even the Italian government. That is, except for one man, Field Marshal Albert Kesselring. Kesselring believed that the Italians would never betray Germany, and that Italy needed to be defended at all costs. While Italy was a weakened country, it still had many resources that Germany and the Axis powers could use for their own benefit. However, his beliefs would not be shared by the German government, which would be to their harm. The plan for the invasion was that Britain would cross from Messina to Reggio di Calabria on September 3rd, and the United States would enter from Africa into the port of Salerno on September 9th. Italy had signed a secret armistice that would go into effect on September 8th, the day before the US invasion occurred. The landing and invasion for British went quickly and easily. However, even with an armistice in play, the same could not be said for the US invasion. Once the armistice went into effect, the Germans dispersed through Italy found out, and they were not happy. So, when the US ships landed in the ports of Salerno, they had a much different greeting than expected. From September 12th to September 14th, there was conflict between the United States and Germans at Salerno. Due to the United States' poor positioning, the Germans were able to hold them off, even almost making them need to retreat. However, when Field Marshal Albert Kesselring called for more reinforcements to help finally push out the Allies, his requests were denied. Therefore, the Allies were able to push through Salerno. You see, the German attitude at this point had been to allow the path of least resistance in Italy up until Rome. This would prove to be a terrible plan, as they underestimated how crucial Italy truly was. Eventually, the United States troops and the British troops would meet up and start an 8-month campaign to take over Italy. After about 8 months of fighting, the Allies were able to finally push the Germans back to Rome, and at this point the Germans started actually fighting back aggressively. However, by this point too much damage had been done. The Allies had gained control of the majority of Italy as well as the surrounding Mediterranean islands. However, this was not a major victory for the Allies, as they had put much more emphasis on Italy than necessary. In the end, fighting in Italy would go on much longer than expected, and the United States would never get to invade France by their expected date.